Greetings from England. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person, but I'm very pleased to have this opportunity to congratulate ThinCats Australia and highlight the opportunity we all have. ThinCats in the UK is just coming up to its 5th birthday, and we've grown so fast that it's easy to forget just how far we have come. We've had no real idea about the interest rate or the default rates we could achieve, but we were determined to create an investment club providing relatively low risk investments and attractive returns to private investors. In our first year we attracted 132 members and made 20 loans totalling £2.6 million. That's not very different to what's happened in Australia. We're now just approaching our 5th birthday and this is what has happened. You can see that over 5 years the number of active lenders has increased to almost 1,800 and we will have made 530 loans totalling around £150 million. In that time our investors have achieved an average return of around 11% and the loss rate is running at about 1.4%. This means that the average return after all costs and losses is over 9% per annum. Australia can achieve the same growth rates, but there are some key differences. Firstly, the UK has had a very favourable regulatory environment. This gave us great freedom and allowed the public to invest directly in businesses. Regulation has all too often been about protecting the established players and creating barriers to entry. In the UK, the FCA now has a mandate to promote innovation and competition, and even has an innovation department. The Australian market is much smaller than the UK, but we launched in the UK at the same time as Funding Circle, and they've grown much faster than us by spending millions on marketing. We've been able to ride on their shirt tails. In Australia, ThinCats has to be the pioneer, and that's not easy on a limited budget, but you do have first mover advantage and should be able to grab most of the business market. It's a great opportunity. Policymakers, politicians and journalists usually focus on the problems faced by small businesses in raising funds. But I think there's another more serious problem that's all too often ignored. Millions of private investors are dependent upon their investment income, and for more than 6 years they've not been able to earn a decent return on their investments. They are in effect paying for the mistakes made by the banks and the regulators during the credit crisis. To continue denying these investors access to this market is a scandal that needs to be exposed and addressed. This needs to be fixed quickly before the institutional investors take over the market and turn peer-to-peer lending into what they term marketplace lending. It's likely that your market will follow the experience in the UK. Eventually, the large institutional investors will discover the opportunity and push to get involved. In most markets, the involvement of major institutional investors will eventually fill this lending gap, but I think they will also find ways to exclude the private investors and the scandal will remain. My message is that we have an exciting opportunity to make a real change to the way traditional markets operate. Let's make the most of it. Happy birthday ThinCats Australia, you've made a great start and I'm expecting a dramatic growth next year.